Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a time in every man and woman's life when they must make a decision to accept life as it is, or to rise and shape it as it could be. Success is not a matter of luck, fortune, or the favor of unseen forces. Success is the result of law, unwavering, invisible, and undeniable law. And those laws are etched not in stone, but in the mind. They are written not in books, but in behavior. The truth is this: success is a habit, and habits can be programmed, not superficially, not temporarily, but permanently into your very DNA. There is no man alive who has reached the mountaintop who did not first fix his eyes on the summit. A mind without a goal is like a ship without a rudder. It may float, but it shall never arrive. You must possess a purpose so definite, so fierce, so consuming, that it drives your every thought, colors your every choice, and sets fire to your blood. You must want that success with the same intensity that a drowning man wants air. Kind of not someday, not if it works out, but as an absolute, non-negotiable, all-consuming obsession. And once the desire is lit, it must be fed, not occasionally, but daily. The mind is clay, soft when wet, hardened by repetition. You must feed it words of belief, not doubt. Speak your success into existence not once, but again and again and again. Wake up and declare it. Sleep with it in your thoughts. Write it on your mirror. Post it on your walls. Saturate your world with the image of the life you are building, until your subconscious mind cannot tell the difference between dream and reality. Let no one deceive you. Your surroundings shape your soul. You cannot become a lion by living in a den of hyenas. The people you permit in your presence are the architects of your mindset. You are not only responsible for your energy, but for the energy you tolerate. If you walk with those who fear, you will fear. If you sit with those who doubt, you will doubt. But if you align with those who build, those who strive, those who refuse to surrender, you will rise. Not because they carry you, but because they challenge you to carry yourself. The path to success is not carved in bursts of inspiration. It is chiseled in routine. Discipline is the silent architect of empires. Your DNA does not change with hope. It changes with habit. And habit is born from repetition, forged in routine, tested in hardship, and proven in persistence. Show me the man who works daily, and I'll show you the man who wins. Not because the world bent to his will, but because his will refused to bend to the world. There is a force within you, greater than fear, deeper than doubt, more powerful than circumstance. It is the power to imagine a future so vividly that it begins to feel real. See yourself already victorious, hear the applause, smell the success, feel the joy. And when your heart is racing from that vision, understand that emotion is the signal, the ignition switch, the fuel for your subconscious mind to begin aligning your actions with your destiny. But this, above all, you must remember: belief without action is fantasy, and action without belief is empty. But belief married to action, that is divine. You must move in faith. Walk as though what you seek is already yours. Speak as though your victory is a matter of time. Act as though the outcome has been written, and that you are simply living it into reality. Success is not something you chase, it is something you become. And to become, you must transform your habits. Let them not be fragile wishes, but iron laws. Let your habits be so rooted in your identity that to break them would be to betray yourself. Let success be so deeply woven into who you are that the world has no choice but to call you great. You were not born to crawl in the shadows of mediocrity. You were made to rise, to lead, to conquer. Program your mind, align your actions, feed your soul with belief. And when you do, when those habits become your nature, and that nature becomes your power, then, and only then, will success not be something you hope for. It will be who you are. Every act of greatness begins with a single, powerful intention. Not a vague wish, not a fleeting desire, but a decision so sharp, so deliberate, that it slices through confusion and hesitation like a blade through fog. You must know what you want, why you want it, and be willing to stake your life on the pursuit of it. This is not drama, it is discipline. The mind, left unfocused, will wander aimlessly, but when it is gripped by a clear and definite purpose, it becomes a weapon of immense creative power. Most people drift through life reacting to circumstances, being tossed from job to job, idea to idea, without ever truly deciding what they are here to do. But the man or woman who makes a firm decision, one grounded in purpose, takes control not only of their actions but of their future. There is nothing more powerful than clarity backed by desire. When you wake up with a goal that fuels your spirit, your energy shifts. Your time is no longer wasted on the trivial or the temporary. You stop chasing everything and start building something. And that something is your life, designed on purpose, lived with direction, driven by meaning. This is the difference between being busy and being effective. Many hustle without direction and wonder why they burn out. But 1 hour of effort fueled by a definite purpose can outmatch 10 days of scattered motion. Your purpose must become your identity. It must live in your conversations, your routines, your choices. When others are distracted, you stay focused. When others are satisfied with good enough, you push forward because your purpose won't let you settle. It must become the reason you rise early and stay late. The reason you say no to temporary pleasure in favor of permanent growth. Purpose is not something you find. It is something you decide. You draw a line in the sand and declare, this is who I am, and this is what I will create. And once you decide, you do not look back. Doubt may whisper. Fear may try to pull you off course. But your purpose becomes your compass. It reminds you who you are when the world tries to make you forget. It reminds you where you're going when obstacles try to block your view. With purpose, every setback is fuel. Every failure is feedback. Every delay is temporary. Because when you live with definiteness of purpose, you stop negotiating with excuses. You rise, you adjust, you continue. This level of clarity turns ordinary people into legends. It transforms potential into power. It programs your subconscious mind to seek opportunities, solve problems, and attract the people and resources necessary to fulfill your mission. But it all begins with one firm choice. Decide who you are. Decide what you want. Decide that nothing will stop you. Not circumstances, not critics, not even the voice in your head. Burn the idea into your mind. Repeat it, write it, speak it, live it. And when you do, your path will open before you, not by chance, but by the unshakable power of your decision. The subconscious mind does not know the difference between truth and fiction. It only knows repetition. What you tell it consistently, it accepts. What you allow yourself to feel and think over and over, it records. This is the essence of autosuggestion. It is not magic. It is not superstition. It is a mental technique rooted in reality. The deliberate act of feeding your mind with thoughts, words, and beliefs that shape your behavior and results. Your dominant thoughts become your beliefs. Your beliefs guide your actions. Your actions build your habits. And your habits determine your destiny. This is how you program success into your DNA, not by accident, but by intention and through the daily repetition of powerful thoughts. Every single day, you are either programming your mind for progress or passivity. Most people allow the world to shape their thinking through negativity, fear, and distraction. They absorb messages from the media, from their past, from other people's opinions, and without realizing it, those messages become the software running their lives. But you have the power to interrupt that process. You have the ability to install a new belief system by using autosuggestion, by consciously repeating words of purpose, power, and possibility. You can rewrite the mental script that has been holding you back. You must speak your goals aloud with intensity and conviction. You must write them down not once but repeatedly until the ink stains your identity. You must look yourself in the mirror and declare who you are and what you are becoming, even if, especially if, you do not yet see the evidence. Because the subconscious does not respond to current conditions. It responds to consistency. It responds to emotion. It responds to faith. When you attach feeling to your words, you give them power. When you repeat them daily, you give them permanence. And over time, the old thoughts, the thoughts of doubt, weakness, and limitation, begin to fade. They lose their grip because you are replacing them with something stronger. This process must be practiced with the same seriousness as training the body. Just as a muscle grows through repeated effort, the mind grows through repeated thought. You do not go to the gym once and expect lasting strength. You do not speak one affirmation and expect transformation. It is the daily discipline of programming your mind that leads to breakthrough. You say it before you feel it. You repeat it before you believe it. You plant the seed, water it with repetition, and watch it grow into reality. Autosuggestion is your personal broadcast to the universe. You are sending a message, not only to your own brain, but to the energy around you, that you are becoming something greater. You begin to walk differently, speak differently, think differently, not because the world changed, but because your internal narrative changed. This is not about pretending. This is about creating a new identity from the inside out, one thought at a time. Every morning, you choose your mental atmosphere. Will it be shaped by habit or by choice? Will it be filled with noise or with purpose? If you do not take control, something else will. But if you do, if you commit to repeating the words of success, the images of victory, and the emotions of confidence, you will feel a shift. Subtle at first, then powerful. You begin to act like the person you are becoming. You begin to attract what you once thought was beyond reach, because the mind that is fed with faith and focused intent becomes a tool of unimaginable strength. And in time, those words you once whispered become the truth you live daily, not because they were fantasies, but because they were declarations that you refused to stop repeating. This is how you program success into your very being. Not through chance, but through choice, through repetition, through belief, through the power of your own voice speaking your own destiny into existence. Success is not built in isolation, while it begins within you, through thought, belief, and action. It is shaped, amplified, or sabotaged by the environment you choose to live in. The truth most overlooked is that your surroundings are silently molding your mindset every day. The conversations you hear, the people you spend time with, the content you consume, and even the physical spaces you occupy, all of these act as invisible hands guiding your direction. You may think you are in control, but if you're not vigilant, your environment is doing the programming for you. That is why it is critical to protect and design it with purpose. You become like the people you associate with most. If they settle, you settle. If they dream small, you shrink. But if they challenge norms, defy odds, and pursue greatness with relentless drive, then their energy becomes contagious. Their mindset begins to rub off on you, not because you imitate them consciously, but because your subconscious mind adapts to match the frequency around it. That is the power of influence. You do not need to cut people off harshly or live in judgment, but you do need to choose wisely. Spend more time with those whose presence fuels your ambition, not those who drain it with doubt or indifference. Even what you watch, read, and listen to affects you deeply. Every video, every post, every conversation plants a seed. Some seeds grow into courage, others grow into fear. You must ask yourself daily, is what I'm exposing myself to building the person I want to become? Or is it slowly weakening my belief in what's possible? The mind is always learning. The question is, what are you teaching it through your surroundings? Look at your physical space as well. Is it cluttered, chaotic, disorganized, or is it built for clarity, energy, and movement? You don't need a mansion or a luxury office to win. You need an environment that supports focus and action. Remove distractions. Create visual reminders of your goals. Surround yourself with symbols of what you're working toward, not remnants of who you used to be. Your space should reflect your vision, not your past. And perhaps most important of all, you must take full responsibility for the environment you tolerate. If you remain in a place, mentally, physically, or socially, that pulls you downward, you are choosing stagnation. Growth is uncomfortable because it often means changing your circle, limiting time with certain people, or spending more time in solitude to recalibrate. But this discomfort is temporary, and it opens the door to transformation. You cannot soar while chained to what no longer serves you. Find mentors, if not in person, then through books, speeches, interviews, and learning. Align yourself with minds that are where you want to be. Let their experiences shape your beliefs. Let their energy lift your standards. When you place yourself in an environment where greatness is the norm, It stops feeling like an impossible dream and starts feeling like an inevitable next step. The beauty of influence is that it can be chosen. You are not a victim of your surroundings. You are the designer of them. But you must be intentional. No one stumbles into a high-performance environment by chance. It must be crafted, protected, and elevated daily. And when you do that, when you step into a space, both physically and socially, that supports your growth, you accelerate. You become sharper, more driven, more aware. You rise not because you forced it alone, but because everything around you was pushing you upward. So look around you. What you see is either helping you or hindering you. And the moment you take ownership of that truth, you unlock one of the greatest powers available to you. Your environment is not just where you live, it's what you live by. Choose it wisely, and it will program greatness into the very core of your being. Nothing in the world replaces the quiet, consistent power of daily discipline. You can have all the dreams, all the vision boards, all the positive thinking in the world, but without daily, deliberate action, they remain nothing more than ideas floating in your imagination. Success does not arrive by accident, nor does it respond to bursts of effort followed by long pauses. It comes to those who show up every single day, whether they feel like it or not, and do the work that must be done. Discipline is the bridge between intention and transformation. It is what turns habits into identity and vision into reality. The most dangerous lie we're taught is that motivation is the fuel for progress. But motivation is unreliable. It rises and falls with your emotions, your circumstances, and even the weather. Discipline, on the other hand, does not care how you feel. It is rooted in decision. You decide once, this is what I'm committed to, and then you build your life around that decision. When you operate from discipline, you no longer negotiate with excuses. You no longer allow temporary moods to dictate permanent results. You simply show up and execute again and again. Every great achievement is the result of small, repeated actions. One workout, one phone call, 1 hour of study, one journal entry. These moments don't look like much on their own, but stacked over weeks, months, and years, they build momentum that becomes unstoppable. The problem is, most people underestimate the power of the small and overestimate the importance of the dramatic. They wait for a breakthrough when what they really need is a routine. They want a miracle when what they really need is a method. Discipline is not punishment, it's freedom. It frees you from the chaos of indecision, from the stress of procrastination, from the pain of regret. It puts you in control. When you commit to a daily standard, no matter how small, you begin to build self-respect. You begin to trust yourself. And that trust becomes the foundation for confidence. When you know you'll follow through, your mind stops second guessing, and your energy becomes focused and sharp. You move with certainty because your life is structured around consistent effort. Action is the catalyst. You do not need to feel ready. You do not need everything to be perfect. You only need to begin. The first steps are the hardest because they push against your old identity. But if you take them and keep taking them, something incredible happens. Your identity begins to shift. You stop seeing yourself as someone who's trying to succeed and start seeing yourself as someone who does what it takes. This identity shift is how success becomes embedded in your behavior, not through force, but through consistency. Daily discipline rewires the brain. It teaches your nervous system that discomfort is not danger. It shows your body that repetition leads to mastery. And it aligns your thoughts, actions, and outcomes in a straight line. You no longer live in reaction to life. You start shaping it brick by brick through effort. The beauty of discipline is that it's available to everyone. It doesn't care about your background, your resources, or your current skill level. It only asks for your willingness to commit and your refusal to quit. If you can do that, if you can build the habit of showing up daily, not just when it's easy, but especially when it's hard, there is no goal too far, no dream too big. You don't rise to the level of your potential. You fall to the level of your habits. And if those habits are built through daily discipline and consistent action, then what you once thought of as impossible will one day feel inevitable. Success is not a finish line you cross. It is a way of living chosen every day through deliberate, focused, and disciplined action. The human mind is not moved by logic alone. It is shaped, inspired, and transformed by emotion. That's why visualization, when done without feeling, is simply daydreaming. But when you combine vivid mental imagery with deep, emotional intensity, you unlock a force so powerful it begins to rewire your subconscious and direct your actions without resistance. This is the essence of emotionalized visualization. It is not about imagining something vaguely and hoping it comes true. It is about stepping into the future you desire so completely that your body, your mind, and your spirit begin to behave as if it's already yours. To visualize effectively, you must go beyond surface-level images. Don't just see the house, the car, the stage, or the business. Feel the emotion behind it. Feel the pride, the freedom, the joy, the confidence. Let it rush through you until your body responds. Your heart may beat faster. You may feel chills, excitement, even tears. That is the sign that your mind is beginning to accept the vision as real. And when your subconscious begins to accept that vision, your behavior starts to align with it. You begin to take different actions. Not because someone told you to, but because those actions now feel natural, even necessary. Most people live in reverse. They let their current circumstances determine how they feel. But emotionalized visualization flips that equation. You choose the emotion first. You generate the feeling of success, confidence, and gratitude in advance. You train your nervous system to believe you already possess what you seek. And this is not delusion. This is alignment. Because when you feel like the person who already owns the success, you begin to make decisions like that person. You start waking up earlier, speaking with clarity, acting with conviction. Not because you're pretending, but because you're stepping into a version of yourself that already exists within you, waiting to be activated. This practice must be done consistently. Once is not enough. Just as a muscle grows with repetition, so does your self-image. Each time you visualize with emotion, you deepen the neural pathways in your brain that connect you to your vision. You teach your mind that this future is not far away. It is familiar, and what the mind accepts as familiar, it begins to seek out and create. You begin to notice opportunities you once ignored. You start attracting people, ideas, and situations that align with your imagined reality. That's not magic. That's the power of focus, intention, and emotional engagement. The key is to make your vision as detailed as possible. Close your eyes and put yourself in the scene. Where are you? What do you see? What do you hear? Who is with you? How does your body feel in that moment? The more specific you are, the more powerful the experience becomes. Add sound, color, smell, movement. Make it come alive in your mind until it feels more real than the chair you're sitting in. That emotional energy charges the vision with urgency and belief. Many people visualize only when they feel good, when life is already going well. But the real transformation happens when you visualize despite your current struggle, when you feel fear, failure, or discouragement knocking at the door, and you respond by closing your eyes and choosing to feel victory anyway. That's when you build mental toughness. That's when you stop being a prisoner of your present and become the architect of your future. This is not about escaping reality. It's about designing it. You are not ignoring the present. You are commanding the future. By repeatedly stepping into your vision emotionally and mentally, you send a signal to your subconscious mind that says, "This is who I am now." And eventually, your mind stops fighting you. It stops holding on to the old story. It begins to cooperate. It begins to build. Success is not just achieved, it is rehearsed. And when you rehearse it daily with emotion, it becomes a part of you. Not a distant dream, but a living blueprint etched into your being. That is the power of emotionalized visualization. When done with discipline and intensity, it reshapes your thoughts, your habits, your confidence, and ultimately your life. Faith, when it stands alone, is nothing more than hope dressed in nice words. But when faith is backed by action, it becomes a force that bends reality. Faith is the belief in something you cannot yet see, but action is the evidence that you truly believe. Together, they create a power that transforms potential into achievement, vision into legacy. You cannot merely speak of your dreams. You must move in the direction of them. You must act even when there is no sign, no guarantee, no applause, because it's easy to believe when everything is going your way. The real question is, will you still believe when the path is silent, when the doors remain closed, when progress feels invisible? Faith is a mindset. It says, I know this is mine, even if it hasn't arrived yet. But action is the movement. It says, because I know this is mine, I will prepare, I will work, I will rise. You cannot wait until conditions are perfect. You cannot stand still hoping that opportunity will knock while you make no effort to build the door. Life doesn't reward belief alone. It rewards the combination of belief and bold, repeated, disciplined action. This is where most people fall short. They speak of faith, but they hesitate when it's time to act. They pray for change, but resist the work. They visualize greatness, but return to the habits of hesitation. True faith is not passive, it is aggressive. It moves before the path is fully lit. It trusts the process while doing everything in its power to advance. It doesn't just speak affirmations, it builds the foundation to hold the dream. You must be willing to act with no applause, to train without an audience, to work when no one believes in you yet, because this is how you show the world, and more importantly, how you show yourself, that your faith is real. Action creates momentum. Every small step taken in faith generates confidence, and confidence fuels even greater action. It's a cycle that lifts you higher, one disciplined move at a time. You cannot think your way into greatness. You must act your way there. Do not underestimate the impact of the smallest act of courage. One phone call, one email, one extra hour of work, one more repetition. These are the seeds of massive transformation when planted with belief. And understand this: fear does not mean the absence of faith. Faith exists in spite of fear. Faith is the decision to keep moving forward even when fear is screaming in your ear. The person with faith backed by action does not deny the presence of doubt. They simply refuse to obey it. They trust something deeper. They trust that every ounce of sweat, every late night, every early morning, every failure faced and overcome is building something greater than what they can currently see. There will be days when your faith is tested, when results don't match the effort, when progress feels invisible, when your dream looks foolish to others. These are the defining moments. This is when you double down. This is when you keep building, because faith backed by action is never wasted. Even if you stumble, even if you fall, you're still moving forward. You're still growing stronger. And that growth becomes the foundation that will carry you when the breakthrough finally arrives. You are not just hoping for success. You are preparing for it. You are claiming it with every act of discipline, every sacrifice, every step. And in time, the world begins to respond. The opportunities come. The doors open. Not by accident, but because you proved with your actions that you were ready. This is the reward of those who act while others wait, who move while others pause, who build while others talk. So let your faith be loud, not in words, but in movement. Let it speak through your habits, your consistency, your endurance. Keep moving, keep believing. Because when faith is backed by action, the impossible begins to bend. Not through luck, but through effort. Not through chance, but through choice. And when that choice is made daily, success is no longer a question of AF. It becomes a matter of when. Now you know. Success is not a mystery, and it is never an accident. It is a system, a blueprint, a way of living that anyone willing to commit can follow. It begins with a clear and unshakable purpose. It is strengthened through repetition, fueled by discipline, and shaped by the environment you choose to build around you. It grows when you engage your vision with emotion, and it comes alive when your faith is backed by relentless action. Every principle we've explored is not a theory. It is a tool, and it's now in your hands. This isn't about chasing some distant dream that may or may not happen. It's about becoming the kind of person who makes it inevitable. That kind of transformation doesn't happen overnight, but it does happen daily. Through small, consistent, intentional steps, repeated long enough to become part of your identity. That's how you program success into your DNA, by thinking, speaking, and acting like the version of yourself who already has what you're after. And the more you do that, the more aligned your thoughts and behavior become, until success isn't something you pursue. It's something you naturally express. So let this not be something you listen to and forget. Let this be a turning point. A moment you draw the line and say, from this day forward, I operate differently. I think differently. I surround myself differently. I act differently. Because I am not waiting for life to hand me anything. I am building, becoming, and claiming the life I know I was meant to live, not with hesitation, but with purpose, not with luck, but with strategy. Not someday, today. You have the power. Use it.